How was that?
You can tell them that they're all recorded.
Hi, how are you? You timed that perfectly.
Fairfield County.
Only if they come in
Yep.
from the system.
When we
I
go
think
to,
right there on the end is open.
when we
Yeah.
go to, we spent some time, we do a lot of Westchester, so we stay in, no, it's just not a lot of hotels in Putnam County, Westchester area.
Yeah, no, well.
Okay, so next, we've come out of executive session and I would like someone to make a motion to record our decision.
I'll make a motion to
Not,
say not consider the open seat because of someone stepping up to the job.
okay. And we got a second, all in favor? All right. So next up on this is the resolution. This is resolution 2025-0801. The purpose of this resolution is to appoint Kathy to the board and also to make her a member of the finance committee. So she's in both of those, and both of those are part of this resolution. You all saw it in the review folder. I need someone to make a motion for us to do a roll call vote on that resolution, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. And for the roll call vote, I say yes. Mandy is absent. Bill?
Yes.
You?
Yes.
Dave? Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Aye.
And Pam is absent. The resolution passes. All right, next up is approval of the minutes from July 10th. You've all seen those in the review folder. Did anyone have any changes or additions?
No change.
I will need a motion to pass those minutes.
I'll motion pass minutes.
Thank you. And Jim will second. All in favor?
All right.
Anyone opposed? All right, that gets all that kind of business out. Next up on the agenda is Jay and Nicola, who are here as our new planners from G&G. And so Jay, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. We're glad to be here. As I was saying earlier, I like it here. I like coming up here. I like looking at the water. I like the community. We had a great experience initially with an income survey, and then, several years of New York Forward DRI, of getting to know people both in the governmental side, business side, and the nonprofit community. And it's just always pleasant to have an excuse to be here. So at some point I was thinking, when we have some kind of project where we need some public input, I am more than happy to hold some office hours on your behalf up here when we have such an event. For me to come from our satellite office in Oswego County, it's about an hour and 10 minutes. Nicola made the trek up from Elmira. She's a remote employee, so she had a good solid 3.5 hour ride to make it here tonight. She met me and then we drove up. But I wanted her here because I think, she's probably going to be, typically when things are new, I always like to be the point, and especially because I like this community and the people here. But a lot of this, I want to have somebody else that you have access to, and at some point that'll shift over probably to Nicola, because I think some of the needs that you have here fit her wheelhouse. We have a diverse group of employees with a lot of different experience, but especially after talking to Marion and what I'd like to talk about as far as planning for the future. And you can all tell me to be quiet at any point and you will not hurt my feelings. The retired policeman in me has been shot at, run over and hit with bricks. It will not hurt my feelings if you tell me to be quiet. I talk a lot. We want to make sure that we're on board with what this group wants as we move forward and as we're looking at grants. Thank you for sending me the Google Drive, but in my car, I could kind of get in. There was no way I was uploading. So in the future, we'll make sure that we have minutes and, things we were doing to you a week beforehand. I apologize for not.
And so that did get sent out.
And I need to make a correction to it based on something that was wrong in my calendar.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Same hours, just a different date.
Yep, so you can just update that. I didn't get a chance to upload it, so.
We had about, roughly, because of the application, and Nicola keeps her time on Clockify, and I believe you had almost 46 hours into the application process. You know, there were some other things internally that we would have discussed with the application, you know, in-house that we kind of add to that. A couple meetings that you and I had to, you know, to kind of set the base, and the meeting we had last month. So I think our contract date start was June 20th. So the timesheet will show from, you know, 20th to the 31st, then all of July, and then up to, I believe, Monday in August. My goal
Yeah,
is
you
to,
can just time block it.
are you
from
sure?
now
I
on.
wasn't sure.
Yeah, because
and-
I mean, we knew that was a late start. I mean, I'm good with that, right? So we would just do all of August.
Okay.
When
I
you do
wasn't sure.
September.
And I was like, I better,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, but that
Right.
was the first report. So I think showing that, you know, those couple of weeks at the end of September, or at the end of June.
what I was able to see in the Google Drive was I did like the way that you know, Scott had been putting it in as far as, so I'm going to continue with that. It's clean. I'm going to continue to do that if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
And that way you can see the you know, the jobs that we're working on. You know, at the end of the day, it's about what do you want? What do you want us? It's our job to research for you. And I tell this to everybody as a new client, it is our job, and I probably said this in the interview, it's our job to research for you and bring things to you that we think would fit, you know, what are your goals, your priorities, your strategic plan. But also, if something comes across your desk, or you hear of a neighboring community getting something, chances are between Nicole and I and the rest of the team, we've probably seen it, but maybe not. Bring it to us. I will look at it and see if it is something that fits for, you know, the town or the village, or what this organization, you know, is looking to do, and see if it's a good fit. And, you know, then we'll maybe, you know, move forward with it, or we don't. But, you know, I want to keep that line of communications open. So please, please, please email me, call me. Doesn't matter. If you call the office, Kylie will pick up the phone. If she doesn't, Haley will pick up the phone. There's always somebody in there. Except for last week when we were closed after CFAs, because after the roughly 60 applications we submitted, everybody was pretty tired. You and I are still there, though. I noticed that didn't change. I want to talk a little bit strategic plan, and I know there's essentially 5 items that are kind of out there. There was your umbrella website, but as you had mentioned to me, that's not really something for us to be looking at, but something I really, really wanted to touch on. And I'm glad I have Nicole here with me. And I want to hear from you folks what you're really looking for. Economic development and some housing, like a study related to housing. She's pretty much an economic development specialist. I've got a pretty good bank of economic development in my wheelhouse. You know, what can we do to help you with economic development? Should we be bringing things? You know, I know you had talked about a community micro grant fund. Nicole has got a long history with CDBG micro enterprise grants. Do you want us out there helping the business community? What, you know, so these are things that I want you to think about of what you need us to focus on. And I'll touch back on those, but I just wanted to go through them all. There's the, you know, your image package, but that's kind of falling off. That's coming.
Yeah,
through.
that's almost
Right.
done.
Almost done. It just needs to be ordered.
Yeah.
Nice. And then regarding your charging, we've had some conversations. I started doing some digging into that. You know, my goal is to stall off National Grid as long as, you know, humanly possible, and see if we, you know, we have the ability to do that. I'll need some direction from you folks. I know you guys didn't get the ZEP grant. That got really, really, really competitive. And, you know, so what I want to do is look at other options for charging and make sure that that's okay. And that's what this body wants me to be looking at. So those are the things I was thinking of focusing on, and then whatever else you're looking for. So I will double back to the housing. Nicole and I have more than enough capability during downtimes when we're not, you know, in the little bit slower months. Because as we had talked about, things will be cyclical during grant periods. We'll have a lot of hours, and then, you know, it kind of shrinks when there's not. You know, we'll probably exceed our hours during CFA times or other grant windows. But I have no objection to looking up housing data and assisting, you know, this body with what are rentals, what are Airbnbs. We have the ability to do community surveys on that, or online surveys, if that's what this body, you know, wants us to do. And then start putting that together. To me, economic development and housing studies are tied together. I'm a firm believer in that. And I guess I just need some information of where if that's something you want me to do, where you'd like me to take it. But economic development is why I brought Nicole. She's there. So I will kick that over to you folks and see what are your thoughts on economic development and working on putting some housing data together for the community. As I just throw you all under a bus.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I had a question to Mary about information that he might find valuable. The informal polling that we did, remember the intercepts of a year ago or so, interviews of the business people, some of the attitude.
Yeah, I mean, we
collection.
certainly can share that with him.
Is
That
that
was,
is that in the drive or?
it is, it's a very limited sample size, very limited. And now it's a couple years old. So I think it's, any data we have, I think the New York Forward data that we have, certainly we would share with them. Although that's just village,
Yeah.
but it's the village. So we do have that data and that's fairly comprehensive. But, I've had conversations with Jay. I really want to hear from you guys on where you want to see. I mean, because right now we've got no grants that we need to say, I need you to work on this, right? We're still waiting to hear on the ice rink grant. I am actively pursuing, and when I get to my part, I'll talk about chargers. Dave's doing the image package. Bill's doing the website. So really, you guys need to give them direction because remember, they're salaried, so let's use them.
I'm on your dime, and we have the capability in the office to, to start pulling data related to rentals and multifamily dwellings. And if you need us to put a survey out there, she's fantastic at putting those online. We're doing a vacant rental program in Ontario County, and she put together a whole online portal where people can give us their thoughts. And obviously we would put together some sort of little PR piece for that and get it out to the public. Whether it's through Facebook or everybody's the village, the town, and maybe try and collect some data. I'm not opposed to doing that. Thoughts on that?
I think that data is critical. Personally, I'm not interested in going out and doing a housing study. I think we all realize that we need single family dwelling homes in Cape Vincent, village and town. But the data you just talked about, how many rentals, how many Airbnbs? And I think the piece that we need to really focus on is we need to have some type of control where they can't Airbnb these new homes, whatever they may be or whenever they may come. So I think you're spot on with that part of it. To go out and do a full
I don't think
study.
you need a full-blown study.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have we could do one, but from a cost standpoint.
Honestly, I wrote in your grant application that would be part of the comprehensive plan. So before moving forward.
And before moving
us
forward,
doing
let's talk
anything,
about that grant.
we may want to make sure that gets awarded, and if so, that should actually be part of your comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
Would-
but, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would having a study, even what you were just talking about, would that potentially open it up to other developers to show that this is an area that is needed? We need the housing?
I honestly, if you're gonna do a study for developers and stuff, I really think that you should look at a strategic economic development plan. Because what that's gonna do is that plan is gonna look at, one, your business community. It's going to look at your different industries that come into the area, and is more of the dollars being spent in your community, or are they going out of your community? It's also gonna look at the type of residents that you have here, like part of your comprehensive plan, but it's gonna look at the type of residents that you have and what kind of community should you be? Should you focus on being more of a tourism community, and what does that look like? Or should you focus on being more of a senior community, and what does that look like? That is what your economic development strategic plan looks like. So that might actually fit and align with what you're looking at and help guide you with your economic development and your strategic plan.
and that makes sense to me because my gut is we need single family homes. But there's this piece of me that says, okay, and I'm making this up because this is probably not true. But right, we've got a lot of people who are older. If we built a nice senior housing community, would people move out of those smaller family homes, move into that? Now we freed up a single family home where kids can go to the school. I mean, what's that? Would economic development talk about sort of that? How do you shift it strategically?
Yes, because based on, so if you think about it, when you're trying to attract industry into your community, right, it should be based on your image of the community. What is your, how do you market? How do you attract new people from coming in? If you're looking for more single family homes, then that's going to determine the type of industries that you're trying to bring to your community. But if you don't have a plan that tells you where are your dollars going, is it more out of the community so you need to bring more in? Is it more seniors where you need to look at more of what's going to attract seniors? Because honestly, everybody's like, oh, I don't want to be a retirement community. Retirees spend money. And they have money. And the misconception is, oh, no, they don't. They do. So how do you brand yourself for the type of economics that you have in your community? So that's what your plan would do, which would then help with your housing. And then your comprehensive plans would help with, how do you drive that housing?
What's the action plan?
And what's the action plan to build more housing? Where to build it? More of your land development versus your businesses.
What do others think? Other questions?
So I kind of was thinking of 3 years. So Danny brought up the first one with the short-term rentals. The second one you just talked about, that's the economic numbers to advertise what we do here. The third one though is options or paths or ways to support the unique features of Cape Vincent. So we've got an untapped potential out there with the National Marine Sanctuary. Nobody's done anything with that yet. So how do we get in front of something like that? We've got the ferry, which is everybody's going to hope and pray it comes back, but it makes the Cape unique along the river. We have the place in the river where every single bass fisherman comes to. It'll come from Messina to fish off of the Cape.
It's a big deal here.
So, but we don't start from that because we don't, I don't know.
And that's the difference.
But all those things are reasons why Cape are, could be, say exploited, because that's a bad word, but,
Right.
Advertised or, we can feature ourselves in what are the ways that we can do that?
Right, and I think that that would be a plan that you could do outside of your comprehensive plan or your economic development plan, because you should have kind of like a marketing plan for the community. What are your attractions here? Because I can say when I go into communities, I learn about attractions that people just don't know about. And it's based on talking to the residents and what happens here.
You see them every day, so you don't think about them.
Right. So that I think could be done outside of your comprehensive plan or your economic development strategic plan. It's kind of like a marketing plan. What are your attractions? How do you market yourself? What do you want your brand to be?
Well, I'm thinking more, we've got a marketing person that we're bringing on, and we've got people who can market what we have. It's how do we lean forward to make something that then we can market? Because right now we're exploiting what we have. We need to go to that next step.
So I just have a question. Your marketing person, do they know how to market communities versus a product of
This
sales
is
and marketing?
Stacy. She just arrived.
Your timing couldn't be better.
Stacy, just so you know, this is Jay and Nicola. They're our new planners.
Hi.
How are you?
I just know that it's different marketing a product or a business versus a community. And so that's why I'm asking that, because a lot of people think marketing is just marketing, and it's not marketing. It's not marketing.
No,
So
it is very different, yeah.
right.
And I do have a bit of experience. I've been doing this for quite some time in Cape Vincent.
Perfect.
And yeah, you're spot on. It's very different because there's so many angles to it.
Yeah. So I wasn't trying to be rude. I just,
Oh, not at all. But
At
no,
all.
but I think that your point of she's been doing it a long time. We all live here, right? A set of eyes that's looking from the outside and some of the things that we're talking about that would come out of an economic development study that might say, yeah, we need to do more with seniors, if that's the right thing, or we need to do more with families with small children, whatever the case may be.
And another thing, I think if we're, that has been mentioned in this group before is, we have Fort Drum. A lot of people retire from Fort Drum and would choose to stay here. We kind of have a good source of bringing new people to our community, but we don't have homes to put them in.
And I'll tell you, my husband's retired Marine Corps, so I understand your military and the community outside of it. So you're absolutely right. With the housing shortage, it makes it hard to keep them here.
And we work in a lot of these communities from, like West Carthage to Luray. And we see the same thing. And like in Luray, you have some apartment complexes, but those aren't for retirees. Those are for E3 and E4s that are making, gosh, I feel so bad for these kids, what they pay them. You don't see the outreach to keeping those retired people here that have a solid income. We need to make sure we exchange contact information before we go, and we'll have our own Zoom outside of, because we don't want to torture everybody.
Bill, I want to make sure we give you an opportunity. We can hear you when you speak, so I did hear your yes. Bill, did you have any questions or comments? And you are on mute.
No, well, I didn't want you to pick the road noise here, sorry. No, I think the points have been covered. The key ones are, I don't think we really need the survey, which has been kind of backed by a lot of the group and everything like that. I think we largely know what types of homes we need. And I don't disagree with the approach of trying to figure out what kind of community we want to be. We've discussed that before. And then that study or survey may help focus us, because we can't be all things to all people. We have to have a direction.
Good. Thank you,
You want to
Bill.
bring that up then, Nicole?
Yes, so you could actually go after what's called the Empire State Development Strategic Plan and Feasibility Grant. You could do that for a strategic economic development plan. And it will pay, I believe it is roughly about 50% of the grant or the project cost. So.
But we can get you guys to just do it in your downtime.
Yeah.
Or as best we can.
You know, well, I have confidence.
I think we can pull a lot of that data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we get to a point and we're all saying, yeah, this is as good as you guys could do, but we need to do more, then I think, applying for a grant that would, take it to the next level maybe, or whatever.
But I also
I mean,
think-
that's just my opinion though. What do others think?
But I would also think that polling your business community, finding out what do they need, what is missing.
I can help with that.
Perfect. What would they like to see? And then what you do is, find out how many want to expand or grow, or a lot of them, employees are really hard to find.
Yes.
Or the fact that business is slow and everybody's just unsure about what is going to happen. So to hire somebody is scary. So there's always the micro enterprise grant, which gives education to help businesses and then also gives funding to help hire those employees. So it would be interesting to see what's
That
lacking
micro enterprise
and
one, I
what's
think, has
needed.
potential.
So I'm here, I'm representing the chamber, but
Okay.
I'm also a business owner
Okay.
that does rentals and
Mhm.
long-term and short-term housing. So I have a lot of experience with that. So I see that the village, from my own perspective, we need both. We need long-term and short-term. I have a lot of short-term housing, but my vision for the Cape is to take one part of that business and turn it into a long-term solution or part of a solution. We have a lot of Airbnbs, we have a lot of rentals, we just don't have anybody turning them back around to long-term.
Is there a lot of vacancies?
No.
There's
No.
Yeah,
And that
no,
would be the reason
I didn't
why,
think so
yeah.
either.
I saw something recently on Facebook, and it was showing the population of seasonal homes, and Cape Vincent, I think, has the highest rate.
I know from doing the
Jefferson
income
County.
survey in the town,
Did you say in Jefferson County?
I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
there was a massive amount of seasonals.
Yeah.
And which was good for the grant, because the one grant you can exclude them, and typically their incomes are higher. It
Right.
hurts the grant, but in some grants you can exclude them, but I was amazed.
Yeah.
At the amount of seasonals. And they're from massive amounts from the Rochester area.
Yes, yes.
When I was told that had something to do with Kodak back in the day.
Oh, that makes
Is
sense.
accurate? And people coming here for something, yeah, it's massive.
Well,
Or do you think that like there's
well,
existing?
you know, and this could just be my own personal, you know.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Your own personal, from just your expertise, your experience.
Right, and maybe it's my age too, because I feel like I've been doing short-term rentals and they're in and out, but I have the capability of taking one section, turning it into something that could be like an HOA. And you could put a bunch of small housing in there that would accommodate people that are, they're, financially would be able to afford to live there.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
building 2 bedrooms with a bathroom, or
Right.
something like that. That's what I really think we need, because we do have a lot of older people and they don't have a lot of choices.
So I guess my question would be if, and I'm not going to assume consensus in the room, but the idea of you guys laying out a timeline / action plan for how you would do the strategic economic blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. You know, is that kind of what I'm hearing in the room, that we'd like them to come back to us with saying, this is, you know, this would be our approach, this is how long it would take?
I mean, we're game to do it, and I think we have the ability to, you know, go as far as we can with it through either polling or survey and, you know, outreach, even if it's.
Well, and
in-person
I
outreach.
think you could, I mean, there's many of us in this room who are here year round, right? So if there were things where there were focus groups and you guys even said, hey, you know, we'll zoom in,
I think we
or
would need.
here's a structured interview. We just want you to, you know, do it and record it. You know, those kind of things are certainly doable with the folks in this room.
With the focus groups. Yeah. I'd say it. Oh, yeah, you're fine. You know it better than I do.
You kind of run it like your comprehensive plan, right? So,
I mean, that's
But-
what was actually in my mind,
Right.
was in the grant, the beautiful timeline. You do
Yes.
this is how
Yep.
long it would take.
yes,
Like,
and,
what does that look like for
Yeah.
what we're talking about? Nicole?
and then like your focus groups, they wouldn't really be focus groups. I'd call them like workshops and stuff like that. Where Jay, we have to come in person to run those. I've ran it by Zoom and it's awful.
We'd have to come for it. She's right. It's
Well,
it's
yeah,
tough.
or like
But
you
it
said,
would
if
be-
you delegated it and said,
But-
you know, it's January and we don't want to come to Cape Vincent, but we've got people who are,
Yeah,
you know,
But-
who have done focus groups, who have done that
Okay.
kind of work.
but it
Nicole-
would be like different workshops and things like that. to get-
You just give us the structure.
We can put a timeline together for that and a structure. That's something she and I'll need to kick around also with the rest of the team and figure that out. But if you're giving us the go ahead to do that, because there's not a ton of open grants right now. So that, you know, keeps us productive on your dime, which is important to me. I don't want to be paid to do nothing. I don't. It
And
just-
we really don't want
And
to.
you don't
pay
want,
you
it just
to do
sets, it sets a
nothing.
bad, it just sets a bad, it's just.
Yeah, it's just, so
I
I
don't like
mean,
that.
am I feeling consensus in the room? Do we need to do a motion on this?
The motion being what?
That we would like to have them go off and develop a plan for doing an strategic economic development plan for us and come bring it back to us for approval. That's what we want them to spend their time on in the next few weeks.
With a caveat. I had a consulting business in Washington, just mostly dealing with federal money, some state money, stuff like that. And when I would have to come to a client, and as you are here, it's trying to get a grip on the cliff face, because you really want to know where they want to be. Test it,
It's
whether
what do
right.
you want?
It's what do you want? You said.
We
it in the
need to,
very
that's what I
beginning.
said it originally. What do you want?
That's exactly right. And I think one of the issues that helps you get there fast. Well, it's actually two, I'm gonna say here, which is, I think the sense of what we want, we actually know. I mean, I don't mean to overstate that, but I think that's the case. The other thing is the importance of the ferry. I view the ferry as the future because everything is a spine around it. There's, Dan, you would know that there's some motion to.
Is there
ferry
some
and
forward
stuff,
motion on that?
property and stuff.
Positive movement.
Yeah, and that may result in some agreement that can have a ferry, maybe the different one, that's one of the Michigan, whatever, but have a ferry operation resumed here. And since it's tied right to the Club Street development that we have facilitated on here, it's sort of like, how can you start with a plan to tell us what to do when that's the biggest thing, I think, that should be known where it's going to go before you can start to build out on the spines. I mean, housing and a couple of things, and that you mentioned before, important, but maybe it's a case of when they flow in to do some work, it might not be for a little while yet until there's some
Well,
direction.
I don't know that, I mean, I worry because I think we have an LWRP, right? We all know the comprehensive plan is but the LWRP is fairly current. What my concern is that I agree with you. The ferry is important and it brings people to downtown, but there is the whole rest of the town of Cape Vincent, right? And what are we doing out there? And that's my, I just continue to think about, it's so easy to focus on the village and the Club Street and what's happening for all of the rest of that. And I think we have to include that not only in the comprehensive plan,
No question.
but if God forbid that ferry doesn't start running, we got to have some other thing we're betting the farm on.
Absolutely.
No
I just don't
pun
want to-
I think both can be priorities.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they
just-
can.
And I can't do anything with the ferry until we know.
And my last question is, you mentioned the funding cycle, like the federal funding cycle, different from the state.
October 1.
Yeah, so when do you see the application teasing stage for this thing where we need the intelligence to sort of, for you to know what matches up in the state budget cycle here? Is that like the end of
The
this
state,
year?
the state, there's different cycles for different grants. The bulk of them run through what they call the CFA window, which is typically May to the end of July, but we have to plan for that. Like when the one that Nicole put together for you guys on short notice, she and I both don't like doing them that quickly because we don't have time to plan. Luckily, we had a framework from the previous application, although you kind of gutted that. So,
No, thank you.
which is why you were brought on, and it's all good. But if, that may open in May, but I like to start planning for those now. Because I know it sounds crazy, that window closed 2 weeks ago. Before I know it, it'll be May, the grant will open. And the more I can do prior to that, gather intelligence is a great term for that. The better we are. I mean, in earnest, we probably don't really get too crazy till after the holidays with it till January, because it's just tough to get people together to do things between, Thanksgiving and Christmas. We understand, we have families as well. Feds don't understand that. Last year they opened FEMA AFG in the middle of it, do like a week before Christmas was fantastic. So yeah, the planning really starts for me in my mind with this meeting, which is why I wanted to come here in person. We could Zoom, we could do all that, but I wanted to hear it from all you. What do you need? And that's why it was important to bring, Nicole up with me. What do you need? That ferry, I need to know. Go.
So my fourth quarter, you're saying, is basically when you have to have what you need to be able to do scoping out and matching up on grants.
So
Not-
not
Not
necessarily.
necessarily. So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, you're good.
So the way that I kind of look at this is, it's kind of a twofold, right? You have the ferry, which is crucial to the community, which is great because we know that. So as we know that, we are already starting, well, in my mind, I'm already starting to think about grant opportunities for specifically that project.
And I'm going to take you down the road.
And then you have the strategic economic development plan, which is going to look at a marketing study. It's going to look at your workforce. It's going to look at your community as a whole, which as you're doing that, that plan and putting that together, you're gonna be able to say, you know what? I know that every year, this grant happens at CFA time. So let's plan for this. Let's already start putting this in place because we're putting it into the plan and we know that this is important to the community. So you can kind of do everything side by side, as you're focusing on one area at a time. I hope that answered your question.
Besides the fair, in the winter, it's really not much traffic for us. When you come here in the winter time, you could drive down, it's like a ghost town. It's really, a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm working right now, with a community that, they're a tourist community, so in the winter, their shops close, they aren't, like, nobody is around, people leave, and they're trying to figure out, well, how do we keep people to stay, so, I'm working with them right now on the exact same problem, and they have a ton of Airbnbs, and they're vacant during the winter, and they're losing tax revenues, and they don't know what to do about it, and
They
they're
have,
in
they
the
have
same
an, they have
boat.
an FPR open for ice skating and cover,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a tough, it's such a competitive application.
Yeah,
If you, they just started to announce some of those, I didn't see you guys on there. If that doesn't, and I'm, as an aside, if that does not happen, we will, I love the grant's great. It's a great idea. When that's gonna reopen again, what do you think? Fall? Late fall? We'll reapply for that with your blessing, of course, but I can't see why we wouldn't.
The other thing is infrastructure, Mary talked about
Mhm.
township. I mean, for you that haven't been here your whole life, every water district that we put in over the last 25 years, houses start to pop in.
yep,
Always.
And there's other things we can do on that. I think the munis, the town especially, needs to get involved with some development. You mentioned developers, they're for profit.
yep,
You've got to be able to say to a young person, here's a building lot. It's got water. Maybe it's gonna have a septic if we go that extra step. Those costs are astronomical.
yeah,
And if you start doing that, you're gonna fill in those lots quickly.
yep,
Yeah, you bring municipal sewer in, but the cost is high.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you go for WIA, you're looking at only 25%, covered through WIA. CDBG, do we have enough low to moderate income people in that area to get it? Maybe, maybe not.
But it wouldn't even have to be municipal sewer. I mean, you could go to a property owner and a contractor and say, we want you to put 4 septic systems in over the winter. When you're sitting around drinking coffee, wondering, what am I gonna do next week?
Mhm.
I mean, you could take baby steps.
Yeah.
Where there's a water line and put in a regular septic system. Buy the property. We're not looking to make money on it. We're looking for long-term development growth.
Mhm.
And I think those are things that this body has really got to look closely at, is little bits, little pieces. And pretty soon, people are gonna know who we are, what we are, and who knows, somebody might come up with a whole bunch of cash and say, you guys are doing awesome, here's a donation, or here's a.
So let me ask this with, so the counties, it'll be, I don't know what Jefferson County did in the last round, I didn't look. A few months ago, they had the county infrastructure grant. And the way that worked is, the county would pick a municipality, village, town, whatever. And they could get up to $500,000 for infrastructure. If housing was involved, 15 units or more, you got $1 million. And we're doing one in a community where it's a 34 house subdivision. We're running that grant through the county. It's for a small city of 50,000. And the developer is actually paying the match because he needed a sewer lift station. It's a $2.2 million lift station for sewer. And it was well worth it to him. He gets $1 million in that grant for that lift station. He's putting in $1.2 million. He's got a lift station that he paid about half the price for. If you have something where there's a developer interested in developing something, I'm thinking more likely the town, that grant is coming again. Now, Jefferson County, the grant flows to them. They will pick who that municipality is, but I am more than willing to fight on behalf of this community to say it should be ours. Now, if we can go into that application with a developer who says, hey, I got 10 lots and I would love to build on them, but I need sewer, or I need a water line, or I need a roadway, or I need storm service, whatever. It's an infrastructure grant and it's $1 million. Rumor has it.
The other thing with our town crew and equipment, you know, there's a lot of in kind.
So you can do in kind.
Absolutely.
I love this grant. I don't know what Jefferson County did.
We looked at it closely,
Okay.
the town board.
And we've written that successfully.
Weren't ready to pull the
We've
trigger.
written it successfully. So if you want to have some interaction, I'm more than happy to have that conversation. I like the grant. It's a quirky thing on their budget, how they do it, but the grant's not that hard.
How do we attract those developers to want to invest their money?
Is there anybody that you know of in the area that is thinking of doing such a thing, or is you hear it around, you know, just a coffee shop type thing where I'd like to do this development, I'd like to do it. If not, we, you know, the chamber, anybody that has contemplated, you know, if you want to kick that around in the chamber and say, hey, is there anybody that has thought of this? They have a lot of land and they're looking to put building lots in, but they don't do it because there's no water out there, there's no sewer. It's $1 million. You know, if it draws people to it, I like the grant, and I think you're going to see more of that. And I think Nicole will back me up on that. We're seeing a lot of things tied to housing. Housing is what's coming. You're already seeing with the vacant rental program, which she and I are chest deep in Ontario County. You can say it. You're good. You're not hurting my feelings.
Sorry. You could also put out an RFP out there looking for a developer who's wanting to participate in the grant application.
And we'll
So
draft
way
that.
then
We'll
you're
draft that
bringing-
RFP.
Because then you're bringing new people in to the community and you're getting developers to look at your area.
And we can certainly tell the local builders that we're
You
putting that
could.
out and make sure that, you know, so
Right,
they're
and
like,
giving
why are you
them-
going outside? But I don't think anybody we've got is
We could draft that.
big enough to,
I mean, you could look at,
Pardon
you
me?
know,
Our builders are years behind.
yeah.
But at least then it's bringing new people into the
Well,
community
that's
as well,
exactly right.
you know.
And it shows, you know, the public that you're actually, you're doing stuff. You know, their tax dollars are going, you're like an RFP. Because I never thought of it.
That's a good idea.
You just always hire people that are way smarter than you. You just always do it. I'm gonna pat you on the back.
You can put it on contract reporter and that way then, I mean, that's where
Statewide.
everybody looks and everything. So it doesn't have to go to like your local media or anything like that. You can put it on the state portal.
That's another thing. That's number 2 that I think we should probably.
All right, so do you guys feel like comfortable with what your next steps are?
Us?
Yeah.
The timeline, the action plan for economic development and seeing how we want to go about that, that's something we'll put together in office and then bring to you guys and see what you want us to do. And if you like the plan we put together, if you like it, we'll run with it. If you are interested and want to, you know, the idea of, you know, maybe kicking around the idea of us putting together an RFP to see if there's a developer interested, you know, in then we would have something to take to that county infrastructure grant when it opens again. Hey, I've got a developer and they're interested in doing
That's a great.
10 houses.
Yeah.
Because without a developer, that grant goes nowhere.
We just got some good news out on Water District 9 out on Lisa Drive. There's a ton of property, out there. A lot of rock, but
I remember that with this area, the rock is, it's gonna
but
blast.
we just got additional funding on District 9 out there, the proposed district.
So maybe what you do is put the RFP out just like for
Well,
a designated.
District 7
area.
Is there a designated area
We're ready to
or
go bid on
a
that.
couple
There's empty
designated
land
areas?
on District 6, I'm just saying.
What's that?
There's empty land on District 6, I'm just saying. And it would be really nice
We would
if I
need-
had
we-
sewer, because I could put a hell of a lot more houses than the 6 lots I've got, because I've got to stay over.
We kind of need an area to kind of drill down on. I mean, what do you think? Or-
This is
No,
awkward,
because-
so
Keep it
yeah,
wide.
just, I didn't
We'll
really
just
say
open
that. I'm just sitting there
Sorry,
going,
what?
I got 21 acres on County Road 6 with
It's
water.
up to them. If they wanted to, they could open it up. Because that way then you're getting multiple developers that you could actually do where maybe they come in and they look at all the sites and they look at, and they get to pick. And that way then you have a pool that maybe you could develop more property than just one, if you're doing just for
And
one.
I guess I'm putting these two things together in my head. So with the economic development study, right?
Mhm.
We would have an idea, I mean, we know single family houses, but if there's some kind of a trickle effect, right? Where it's like, well, we know we need some housing for seniors to move into, and then people, or we know this would be the right kind of housing, doesn't that feed into that grant? I mean, wouldn't the developer
I-
want to know like what we really need?
Well, we'll take tenants from that grant. Because what I was told by Empire State Development, that the new round is going to be similar to the old round, just maybe a little more competitive. And the only reason, now normally I would wait to do this until we did some more, studies and
Yeah.
outreach, but this grant's gonna open.
Yeah, no, I'm
soon,
just like.
So we don't have time for that. So if we're gonna do this RFP, we need to put it out pretty soon.
Well, I think the RFP is a good idea, but if we can simultaneously get some data, so when the developers are looking at it,
Yeah, and they've got.
Well,
then we say, well, we're not just saying, hey, we think we need.
Well, I think it would also be a good idea because then the developers that put in for it, we could actually do a survey or talk with them and interview them and find out, well, what made you apply first? And second, why didn't you look here before? Like what stopped you from looking here before versus having the RFP now?
Yeah.
Because it can't just be the grant money, like,
No,
because as a developer, you know you can get grant money. But why now would you be interested? So it would
One
be,
other thing we need to mention is our grocery store literally closed last winter.
okay,
This. How do you?
I am
overcome
familiar.
that sort of thing?
You guys are a desert right now.
So just want to get that in your head.
It's tough.
but it would also help also with your comprehensive plan too, because it'll feed into
Mhm.
that, study. So,
yeah,
because we look at everything, like I look at like, a market study, I look at a feasibility study, I look at, a SWOT analysis on the community. So you're looking at you pull your business community and find out like what they need, what is missing. You look at your schools, your kids, you pull them, because an untapped market right now is youth entrepreneurship. Like, that's an untapped market, because people think, oh, well, kids just are kids, they don't know, but there's some really smart kids out there. So it would be interesting to see like how many of them you have in your community and everything. So we'd be looking at all of that, which then would help. Because we'd be farther along by the time you're so.
Yeah, we can put that together
And stuff.
relatively quickly. And the RFP would follow along with what, like I said, what the grant was looking for. That's why they doubled the amount from $500,000 to $1 million if you were, had housing. If you don't have housing, you get, half. And it's funny, we saw counties apply for it and get half with no housing. You're like, what are you doing?
Is that a match? I can't remember.
It is, it's a 50% match, but the goal is to get the developers to pay a match. That's my goal. I mean, if the town wants to pay the match, or certainly, or the village or the town can, wants to pay it, absolutely. And then maybe through in kind, but I like having the developers pay the match. They're the ones benefiting the most from it. Let them pay. That's just my, personal thought, but, and I've seen it in action. And now different when we're doing in Oswego County, the county will pay the match because the county, even though there's housing going in there, the county has a transfer station and they benefit quite a bit from the sewer. So they're good to it. They want to do it. Although there is a developer there, so I think they'll split. But there's just, you just need to think, okay, how do we do this? What is the path? And then find that. There's always a way. I talk a lot.
no, this is good. So any final questions for these guys? You guys are welcome to stay for the whole meeting. You are
Oh,
welcome.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but I want to make sure that we, any other final questions? Because I think the next step, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are gonna go back, and you can do this via email. This is what we think we should do, because we're not gonna have another meeting until September, and that's gonna be our joint meeting with the town and the village, which is a whole different, that
What is
is a
the date of
different
that? What is the
agenda.
date of that meeting?
It would be the second Thursday, I think it's the 12th. 11th, the 11th, thank you.
I think I'm in Florida.
But
I can
it's the joint meeting is just a very different than our normal
Okay.
meeting, so it wouldn't be something where, I mean, we could certainly cover whatever you provide us, or Nicola could be on the phone, to cover it,
Yep.
but if you're on vacation.
If I'm on vacation, I can
be
still
on-
get on, but
No.
what is vacation?
Yeah.
I
Well, know.
promised her I would take a couple, 3 days off during that Friday to Sunday. And she only rolled her eyes at me a little bit.
Okay, so they're gonna come back with a list of what they're gonna be working on in the short term. And we can all have feedback on that. Any final questions for these guys?
One quick one, before the joint meeting, when they send to us what their recommendation is there gonna be an interval where we can sort of?
Yes,
Okay.
I know where you're going.
Yes.
Yes, then you digest that, look at
Yeah,
that,
and, you know.
make
triage
corrections,
it,
make
await it.
changes,
Yeah.
and then this is your community, and we want to follow your rules. You know, we know things, but you live here.
Okay, but maybe that was just me, but I lost that whole exchange.
I think,
It's been a long day.
I think you
So
just wanna
we're not gonna have a special meeting between this meeting and that meeting, if that's what you were requesting.
No.
All of this iteration would be done via email.
He wants time to review it. And
Yeah,
to
oh
give the
gosh, yeah.
the board the
I
opportunity. And I
gotcha.
apologize, I was kind of reading your mind. I think I was reading your mind.
Right.
He was.
Well, I was a consultant too, so you want to grip in the cliff face so you can make orders.
I will be using that, and if you don't mind. And no, we just want to make sure you have the chance to review it, look at it, and make sure that it's something you want when you look at it, that it fits your needs. And we need to have more conversation, you and I, because I like the chambers. And you have a finger on a lot of pulses and different things, so I need your information.
Just stay till we approve the bills.
Okay.
So I can just hand you this.
Oh,
check.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, we're gonna go fairly quickly then. Additional projects, I did send out the additional projects, latest on the EV chargers. You guys all saw where the New York State Small Project Fund is, so all projects are now moving around. There will not be another round of grants, looking for grants, because Frenchtown Market did start. So all of the projects that were awarded are in various stages, and that tells you the status of each of those, and that's the most current status. On the EV charging.
Can I jump in something real quick?
Yes.
So we make sure I apologize. Nicola is the queen of the aggressive timeline.
Good. I like that.
Oh, boy, you have no idea.
You are so screwed, Jay.
She makes the Ontario County Economic Development Director, when she starts talking timelines, generally cries a little bit. So do you want that information for the timeline action plan by that second Thursday in September, or do you want it beforehand?
We would like it beforehand,
I
so
was
we have
thinking-
time to digest it.
Is August 27th okay?
That should be fine.
Or is it too aggressive for you?
No, I think,
No,
I know, because
that's
you're gonna
Okay.
email it to us.
Yep.
And I'm gonna then put dates on all of
All
these
right,
guys,
I'm gonna
because
Leave that to you.
we are we are sisters from a different mother.
So
or
we will,
whatever.
she is, the timeline wise aggressive. It's
Good.
just-
So you
Sorry.
guys will all have a chance to react to that, and then when we agree to it, that will go into our joint presentation to the town and the village as part of what we're working on. So. Good. Okay. So EV chargers, I had a very positive call with Blink. They brought in another person finally, who thought we looked very good for them to, and this is possibly, I will know by Tuesday, possibly install the chargers at no cost to us. And it would be a revenue sharing, so they would pay the village a flat fee every month for having their chargers on our infrastructure. I will believe it when I see it. I have lit candles and I am saying novenas. We also, Scott Gray's people got back involved, and I have a new rep from New York State who is emailing me on a regular basis, trying to see if he can get us anything free from New York State. So that is not a dead project. We are just.
Because we've got the in the ground stuff, it's the charger stuff, it's above ground to put it.
That would, we would be done. So if you
Let's bring
believe
that
in lighting candles, please do so.
We have Nicola brought something else. If you want
Yes.
to touch base on that. But
With the EV chargers and all of that, if you wanted, you could designate yourself as a climate smart community, and you could get funding through the Climate Smart initiative to get those. Also, National Grid has rebate programs for.
Yeah, the thing is, so we got the National
got
Grid, is what's the infrastructure? So we got that secured. The problem we have is that is a reimbursable grant. We can't get reimbursed unless the chargers are in.
Right, they have a rebate program for the chargers. It's not a grant to install them, but it's a rebate for like when you go to install them, they'll give you a rebate for those.
Okay, that's good.
Look, you want us to look into that for you?
Yeah,
For the
any info,
climate
I mean,
smart
well, don't look into it till I'm sure I actually have chargers, because that's where I am right now. Right, if I don't get the chargers, we've got to turn this back into National Grid. I mean, that's.
Well, that's why we could look at where you're at, becoming a climate smart community and how to get that funding from the climate smart department.
I'll take any information you have.
Send it on.
I feel like my life has been EV chargers like that.
All right, is the Blink revenue sharing with the village?
Yes,
So is this an application that the village must approve
Yes.
rather than us?
yeah. So I have just picked this up like small project funds. I'm just, the LDC is helping with these things on my nights and weekends. Okay. Stacy, tourism, you're next. So you did submit a budget. Do you want to do a little explanation for that? And,
Yes, because I realized that with the notes that I got back, that I wasn't clear in all of the details. So all of that was digital advertising, not newspaper advertising. If you looked at the second tab, because there was regional and local, the local is like if the chamber came to me and said, we're looking for new advertising options, that's just data that I collected so that I could say, here's some other advertising options. So that's that local tab on the budget was more for what I would share with someone that was looking for advertising options. Because I don't think our goal is to advertise locally, not super locally anyway. So yeah, that I realized that I left that very key detail out about
and
it specifically being digital advertising. It is a newspaper's website, but it's all digital advertising.
so when Stacy and I talked today, I explained to her that the 2025 budget was set prior to this position even being discussed. So we'll continue to do what we have been doing in 2025. She'll come to us with things and we'll choose to fund them. But 2026, she does have that budget. And that'll be part of the agreement that it's a line item in our budget. And
I will put together like some visuals, basically things that so that you can see the direction that I think that we should be going in.
so I think for the meeting on September 11th, that will be, we'll have a chart or two about in I would say probably one chart on this is what the position has accomplished. At a high level, executive summary level. And then the second page would be, and this is sort of the vision we have for what we want to do in 26. So just like for these guys, the sooner you get that to us, so it can be round robin and people can make comments. I think, obviously we're going to agree on the budget tonight, or at least agree on the budget we're going to present to our funding sources. But any immediate questions and then there was discussion about Facebook presence.
Yes. I did
Bill,
speak-
while you're on.
I did speak with Bill earlier.
Oh, never mind.
Yes. So
Go ahead.
I have started building, I didn't realize that when we spoke last that the URL had been decided on.
Okay.
Because I've seen like the different options that you guys were choosing from. So I did actually start that today. I started building a social media platform
Okay, good.
for us, Cape Vincent, New York. So I'm very excited to get that started.
All right, excellent. Good.
I'll send everybody a link so you can follow it if you're a Facebook or Instagram user. That's usually where I start is Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, good. Any questions for Stacy? No? All right, moving right along. Lori, chamber update.
So the chamber I have. We just wanted to say Julie's been in office for 60 days now and we're moving forward with Julie.
Good.
We have the Citizen of the Year nominations out and we'll be reviewing them next week. So if anybody hasn't put on that, we would really love to have applications put in. We're moving forward with the annual dinner and the photo contest. The car show is up the first weekend in September, and then the Oktoberfest. So those are all the things on the chamber side that we're working on.
Any questions for Lori?
I think September 27th.
All right. Carol, over to you. Bills to be paid.
Bills to be paid. G&G, 2,230 for the month of August. Rent, Dominic, 150. Admin assistant for the month of July, 142.78. Dream Host, which is capevincentnewyork.org, that was an ACH, came out $51.97 for 3 years. That's the domain name. Stacy, I reimbursed her, would like to reimburse her for stamps and envelopes at $107.94. And Stacy's services for the month, $21.66.67. Total $48.49.36.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
All right.
I'll second.
If you could hand Jay that check. And Stacy, I am leaving town tomorrow, so I'm going to ask you if you could give the people next door the Dominic check and run a check up to the town of Cape Vincent.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor, sorry.
Now you can have the check.
You know, I will get better.
I give it back to you if you want.
So the town needs-
We put way too much on our shoulders. with that, so.
It's a lot.
And the financials are posted.
Yeah, okay.
The financials are posted and our savings account has 35,000. So I'm gonna let that CD that renews tomorrow roll and renew because we're fine. The next one will renew in November. If we need money then, we'll go from there.
That's good. You're good.
I'm good.
All right, she's good. No questions for the treasurer? No, all right. Stacy, you guys, you may leave because the rest is paint drying.
Paint
If
drying's
you'd like.
exciting. It's a lovely trip from Westchester.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming, you guys. Really appreciate it.
It was good to have you face to face.
I like face to face.
Yep.
That's good, but
Yeah,
this is better.
And then I think it's great you're gonna show the Golden Ferry area. and all that.
yeah,
We're gonna go take a little trip and
It's great.
enjoy.
Yeah.
I spent so much time with that gentleman from the ferry back in the day.
Oh,
Oh
he's
my
great.
gosh.
He was a great man.
It
Yeah.
just- I like this
Wonderful guy.
grumpiness, but he and I would just sit there and talk.
Yeah.
Is this like an appointment from the king type of thing still?
Mostly dollars.
Folks, thank you.
Bye, thank you, guys. Safe travels. Okay, that moves us on to finance, and finance would be discussion of the budgets.
You were the one that put it together, but.
I'll read through the budget part and you can jump in then.
Yep.
So, I think the most of our talk was, a lot of our budget is now, we got Stacy and we've got G&G. So we budgeted $100,000 for town and village, putting that up, back up, and then savings and interest 2741, 102,741. I should have brought copies for everyone. I'm so sorry that.
It was, they all got it as a.
Oh, yeah,
pre-read,
yeah. That's right. Accounting fees, that's a set 10,400, admin assistant, 2,400-ish. One chamber membership, $40. Education and training would drop to 1,000, which we may not even use. But that would be mostly just reimbursing somebody for their time. Tourism promotion, if it's the same as this year, would be 27,576. Put together a tourism promotion budget based on what Stacy presented, and that was $20,000, which included $1,000 for an outdoor show, $1,500 for print materials, 12,000 for visit1000islands.com, which is all digital. And they do deliver a lot of ads. And then what was it? What's the rest of it? Discretionary 5,500 for, you know, and we're saying that we thought she was talking newspaper, so I'm glad she heard that.
Yeah.
So that came to a $20,000 number. G&G 29.9, MRV 2,500. We may not use that amount, probably will not. Domain, website hosting, miscellaneous 2,000, insurance 1,025. Comprehensive website development. Bill's asking for $10,000. We want it to be 5, and we will RFP that. We talked about I put advertising print show on the wrong line. Advertising print show is on there twice. It shouldn't be beside that micro grant fund line.
Yeah, I can talk to Michael Grant.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll send it out afterwards. We did a full proposal, but in a nutshell, we're talking about putting together a small project fund for $20,000 to incentivize investment at Cape Vincent. Looking at things like infrastructure improvement, signage, trail enhancements, restrooms, some things that like nonprofits can put out to get more visitors and increase the experience here. Tourist services, rentals, so incentivizing somebody to go out and get a bike rental kiosk or a kayak kiosk or some sort of services like a mobile bait shop that can go down on East End Park, something to provide more services to the people coming in. You know, one of the things that was on there too is a marketing or a sponsored signage. So be able to put out community stuff, but also advertise our businesses and things like that. Events, programming to attract other things. So be able to subsidize additional events or programs that bring people to the Cape, or something as simple as guided tours. So somebody's willing to put 50% of their money in, make some money, we would look at subsidizing that forward. Limiting it, 50% cost match for whatever it is. Businesses, nonprofits, groups, residents, it doesn't really matter. Anybody who wants to have some of their costs offset at the beginning in order to try to make some money and provide services into the village. Ensure the purpose is to increase visitor experience, support local businesses, and promote sustainability within the town. So anyways, I'll send out the full thing so you can all take a look at it. It kind of outlines how we'll go about it, but really it's about giving somebody, $4,000 or $5,000 towards a kayak rental so that they'll go out and be the ones who finish buying it and then do the work to keep it going so that we can get kayaks down at East End Park or, more ways to get services to the village or to the town, because it can go out to Tibbetts or it can go out to the other parks or wherever we're doing it here in Cape.
So this budget presents a 25,000 deficit, which we would then be drawing on our reserves.
And that's if we were funded at the 100,000.
If we're funded at 100,000.
Otherwise, it's a bigger deficit, or we have to cut things.
But I think the $20,000 in advertising, the 27 of the position is 47,000. That's what the town and village asked us to take on, and it really, if you're only giving us 50,
Yeah.
how does this work?
So
anyways,
a
yeah.
question, Dan, for you, too, actually. So the occupancy tax, which will be increasing shortly, because all the short-term rentals will be charging occupancy tax. That has to be used on tourism. Do I understand that correctly when it comes back to the town? Yeah, well, but I guess my question would be, because we've taken on the tourism promotion position and now the operating budget for that, would that be a way that the town would feel more comfortable keeping us funded at the original levels? Because you would have more occupancy income, and this could be earmarked, because that's the 47,000, right? I mean, that's the
And I think those funds now are kind of earmarked towards the chamber funding. I think that's what they use it for, some of it.
But yeah, I was gonna say, but
Does
you're
it-
gonna
does it
get,
all
you're gonna
go to
get
the
more
town,
though.
Or does it, I don't remember how the occupancy tax split,
Goes to the town.
and the village doesn't get any of it.
Mm-mm. But with short-term rentals, that number should go up.
And of that, of the 3% that's charged, the town gets 50% of that and the county gets 50%?
I don't know.
I think it's something like that, because I've told a few times on that.
Same here, you can't, every time I ask the board member, I don't actually get an answer.
But you
So
can use
anything,
it for
just
tourism.
something for you to consider as,
It's a
you
benefit,
know,
it's
as this
meant to
is
be
as,
used for tourism.
as we go into the September meeting. I know you guys are thinking about what level you're gonna fund us at, and we took on 47,000 more
Yeah.
expense.
So Laura, you're already charging 3%.
For, it depends. So it depends if it's the hotel, and yes, I'm charging 3%. But if it's a single, no, I'm not charging anything.
But if
But-
it's your
Right,
colony,
then
you
you're
have
at
to charge it
3%.
there.
And it
'Cause I've
depends
always
on
had
your
to charge.
size too. If you're
Under
5 or
five.
less,
Yeah,
less, you're not
but
charged.
just so you guys know, mine is 4 people, and my rental company is now charging the occupancy tax. And when I called the treasurer, they said, yes, it's just gotta be decided.
They have not changed the law at this point, so the current
Yeah.
law is the 5, if you have 5 units or
Right.
less, you're exempt from occupancy.
I know,
tax.
but
They
it's
are
just,
changing it. They
my
will be.
point is
Do you know
my
when that happens?
It's going to be, I believe, November 1st, because that's their next budgeting round,
Mhm.
and they've got to get their ducks in a row, but if they don't do it if they don't, they lose other stuff, so the county is going to do this.
Yeah,
because
they are gonna do
lose.
November 1st. I didn't know the dates. I knew it was coming.
So that's gonna go for everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other question that I have in this budget area is, I know when the town approved us going for the smart growth grant to write the comprehensive plan, there was a big discussion about the LDC should pay for this. And so my guess is, Dan, that they're probably going to have that same point of view in our
Our
joint.
board was extremely upset the way that came down. Pam and Christine, this goes back months, we're gonna write that. Take care of it.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute,
The
damn it,
grant.
Christine, I'm caught up, I'm caught up.
I'm going back to the grant process. And then at the last minute, no, we haven't done anything with it, we're gonna give it to them. And then, it came to our board, oh, we gotta do it tonight. Our board wasn't happy.
Mhm.
I feel it's very important. I had to do some fight to get that.
And I
through.
appreciate it.
But as a board, they weren't happy
Mhm,
about that. And I get it, hey, gotta do it tonight.
mhm.
And then we didn't even have the right grant that we were
Right,
approving. We had to have a special meeting. That's one issue. The other issue is they do feel that the LDC needs to do something tangible, like control a grant, fund a grant. Right now, they're saying, well, what are they doing? They
we couldn't fund that grant, Dan. You and I both know that comprehensive plan had to be a municipal grant.
Again, it's a shell game. We had to apply.
Mhm.
We felt when Christine and Pam were gonna write it, and I was hoping Pam was here tonight, that the village was gonna take the lead this year.
Mhm.
They threw their hands up and boom, it's back in our lap again, which I don't care one way or the other. Doesn't make any difference to me. I'm just conveying what our board's concerns are.
Mhm.
But as far as administering and handling the grants, that's what our board is looking for us to do.
Right, but,
And we
but,
haven't.
but here's, help me if I'm wrong here.
Yep.
But we paid for the grant writers to write the grant.
Mhm.
If we are successful, we will be paying the grant writers to administer that grant.
Yep.
The question is, who pays the $100,000?
It's a reimbursement. The town, their expectation is you will fund the grant and apply for reimbursements. That's what we developed the LDC for.
Right, so my question is,
Yep.
if, from a business perspective.
Yep.
So last year you guys cut us 50%.
Yep.
If you walk in and you cut us 50%, but you expect us, and by the way, we took on a $47,000 position, right, with tourism, based on what everybody wanted.
Yep.
And now you want us to also spend $100,000.
My point is, and why I'm bringing this up is, as our body, I would go into that budget meeting saying, we're planning on funding the charging grant. We're planning on funding that's gonna open a lot more doors and pockets with our board than to go in there and say, we're not gonna do anything.
Again,
so
how
we-
much money do we have in the bank? Total?
Just 1 second. If we
Couple hundred
fund, yeah, we have 196,000. If we fund this grant, which is an RFP, so it's maximum $100,000 to do the thing. And of that, you get all but, you get
10.
10.
It would be
we'd
10 out of
effectively
pocket.
Only spend 10.
And it's not like you gotta write a check for 100. I
Right.
mean, we're this far down the line, you submit for reimbursement, you get some back, it's just moving money.
We do have the money to do that funding for this and get the reimbursement. We have the money.
And I think you get more money if you said, we will fund other grants, whatever they may be. Even if we gotta borrow money, that's the whole idea, was to get all of that.
But here's,
Stuff and
yeah,
minutia off our
but
plate.
Dan, if you were a banker.
Yep.
And we said, our only source of funding is the village and the town.
Mhm.
And we said, oh yeah, and last year they cut us 50%, and we have no guarantee that they're gonna give us money next year. Would you give us money?
You'd have to get commitment from the town and the village.
That is my next question.
I
So
understand that.
so currently we do an IMA, an intermunicipal agreement.
Yep.
And it's 1 year. Would the town be willing to enter an intermunicipal agreement for the 100,000 for a longer period of time?
I have no idea.
I mean, well,
If
you
have
have
a-
but I'm not gonna hold you to it. You
Yeah.
have a temperature check of that room. That's why I'm asking you.
Right now, no. Because we're putting money in a CD. We're not using the funds. And that's, I'm telling you, it's rubbing our board members. I'm just being honest with you.
So, I mean,
Do
there's,
they not see any of the stuff that we've done?
They do.
Yeah.
But as far as grants and development and administering and taking care of things, they don't see it.
And we just got all the tax stuff settled that we can actually do that. Like, how long ago was that? 6 months ago, maybe? If that?
Oh, no, we've been able to do it since we got our 501c3.
But I thought there was a hiccup in
It was
the.
just a hiccup. It
Okay.
wasn't, it was one
Okay.
that, it's not anything that.
Yeah, I'm just conveying the
so I mean,
conversation
but
that
I
I went
guess,
through.
I guess the question is, Dan, is, and again, this is just you trying to give us some advice and counsel, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
If we don't, and I keep saying, if we don't build up the nest egg, we don't have the money, right? We're not a good bet. So there's this piece that says, if the town really thinks this isn't a value, maybe we just fold up our tent and go home.
I wouldn't go there, but
No, but I'm
You wanna
just.
go there, then-
No, I'm just having,
I'm
I
giving
mean,
you what I'm trying to convey
Yeah.
is if you get out in front of it and say, here's what we want to do, we're gonna need X amount of money, I think we're gonna give it to you.
So
But if
I'm
we sit
hearing,
back and say, we've got to build up our funds, we've got 2 CDs or 3 CDs, that pisses them off. I'm just telling you.
I'm hearing that you want us to build $100,000 of expenditure in here, cover this, right?
It doesn't gotta be $100,000 expenditure. It's $100,000 grant,
Right, so it's a $10,000.
10,000
And,
local
but we,
share.
but we still would need the money that's in the bank to make that cash flow.
yeah, we have to have
You
the
wouldn't
cash.
need
flow.
100,000, you probably need 20.
Don't they only reimburse when things are complete?
No, there's stages
They
all the way
reimburse as you
through.
go along.
And we'd have to get more information. But I'm just saying, if you get aggressive, I think we're gonna go, yeah, this is what we're looking for. I'm just being honest with you.
So if we go into that meeting and saying, the town has done this, but we want to do the 100, we would be the holder of the money.
That's
for
an
the 100,000.
expectation. I'll
Right.
be very honest.
That's what I thought from the conversations. That's
And
why I
what's it- And
asked.
what's it called?
It's the smart growth,
Comprehensive.
yeah, smart growth comprehensive plan.
Yep.
But you don't think that they would be willing to sign an IMA for 2 years?
if you had projects that you were gonna control and run, I think they would.
Mary, I don't think for
I don't
$10,000
think it's-
it's necessary to push that.
I don't think it's the money. I think it's the direction and the projects. I honestly, I mean, the town has never been in better shape financially than we are right now. We are in awesome shape. We've been very fiscally responsible. And so I don't think it's the money, it's the direction that they think you should bring back to us.
So if we said things like, we're going to do an economic development study, we're going to fund the comprehensive grant.
I'd stay away from the word study.
Okay,
We're gonna do a data research, which I agree. I'm not a big person to go do a study. We know we need housing. The data is critical. How many Airbnbs, how many rentals, how many permanent homes, how many resident,
And we're gonna RFP for developers.
Yep.
I mean, that's,
those are key. I mean, we're all on an
you
infrastructure.
need to be involved in the presentation strongly.
What's that?
You need to be involved in the presentation strongly.
I'm happy to be.
I mean, Mary does a great job, but I think you could.
well, and
really
at
give some strong
this
input.
point, I wasn't really planning on, I mean, I thought it was going to be more of this is the budget we're presenting, possibly Stacy talking about, what she's accomplished since it's a new
Oh, you weren't
position.
gonna do. Pretty?
Yeah, well, I mean, we would do pretty charts and I'll do the pretty charts, but we'll do pretty charts, but I didn't see I didn't see me having to present anything at this point.
Let's just take Danny's pieces and parts in there and we'll put something together in addition to what we already have in the budget and send it around.
Yep.
And then just do that.
Well, it's like our $1 million grant, We ended up bonding for $1 million, but we really only used about 300,000 because we submit for reimbursement, we had to pay 100, then we get 150 back, then we pay 50, then we get 20 back.
Yeah, so some work that way and some you have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll have to confirm, I'm not familiar with this grant.
I mean, the charges is that way, right? Everything has to be done before anything.
Yeah, that's a little different.
It's a different kind
Yeah,
of grant.
but most of them are, in stages, as you develop, as you move along, they reimburse you throughout the process.
All right.
So would everyone agree that we add a line in here for 10,000 in the expenses for Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan?
I would.
And then that puts us at a 35,000 deficit.
Mhm.
And then we'll add in the data net or.
Yeah,
data
but see that,
analysis.
we would just include that because that's part
That's
of
what
the,
G&G's already working.
yeah,
on.
G&G's
But we have to
already
talk
getting
about
paid.
What they're working on.
And again, so if the grant works like the rest of, you've got to have some working capital, but I think we have working capital.
Yes, right, we have working capital. I 100% agree. We have working capital, and I don't think we need to push them for a multi-year agreement.
But again, let's say we get the covered ice rink. And we say, hey, we're gonna handle that.
We don't, I mean, the thing is, we don't know anything about that grant. I mean, how much is it? We know nothing about that grant.
$1 million, $100,000 local share, but again, it's gonna be that same cash flow, moving money back and forth. Somebody administers and submits for reimbursement, you get some back, you have to spend some. But if you did something like that, I'm sure they'd say. Again, I don't think it's the money, at least within the town, the village,
It's the money.
it's the money.
So with the town, you're saying, we need to say, we're just waiting for this to come in so we can handle that.
I
We're,
truly believe that we're waiting for,
we haven't received the grant. We couldn't, we can't
I
receive the grant
understand
yet,
that.
right?
but when we bring up a grant, it's like, well, we can't do that, they cut us 50%, what's the big, that's
But we
not.
haven't said we can't do any grants, Dan. What grants have we
You
said we
just
wouldn't?
said again, but they cut us 50%, what banker's gonna give us money? I don't think you gotta go to the bank to start.
Well, you just said take a loan. That's why I said it.
I said, if you had to take a loan on the charging grants, I would be all in favor of that. That would be a huge benefit to the village. And we just got a bond for Water District 7 for 3.65 or 3.75. Money's cheap. That would take a huge burden off the village. If we said, we're gonna pony up the 400 grand, and when it's done, we're gonna get it back. Those are things that, at least from our town perspective, that we feel that's what this body is for.
And as you
I
say,
can't
it's a
speak for the village.
I think where we get wrapped up is, as you say, like if we cannot apply for the grant,
Mhm.
it seems, and you say, oh, it's just a shell game. But I think when you're doing an actual loan for this money that we're not actually the grant person, I think it gets sticky. I don't know, I've never done
Maybe
it,
the
but
town takes the loan and turns the money over to you guys, and you pay the interest. I mean, there's legal ways to do all of it.
Mhm,
Some of the grants have to be applied from a municipality.
understood, right.
Some of them aren't. And hopefully, we're gonna find some that aren't.
Mhm.
So, but that's kind of where our board is. So,
Good, thank you. I think that helps us a lot.
It
well, I
does.
hope so.
No, it
Just
does.
laying it out.
All right, Bill had to leave, so we're gonna skip governance. Dan, Club Street / town.
Oh, we got a great email this morning. We just awarded the big grant. We were a little concerned about the voter infrastructure grant. They've awarded it. They're working on a final contract. So that's
That's
the
great.
final
Awesome.
grant of the 3. So awesome.
That's great.
Yep.
That is good news.
And I think in the middle of September, we'll have our final design for the LWRP grant. We'll be going out to bid. So, things
And
are
did you say
moving.
just September?
Yeah. I think
Okay,
it's
I'm
the
sorry.
12th or 14th or something.
On the, did the bids go out for the fence at Tibbetts?
I believe they have.
Because I know they were waiting for some document.
I heard we had another tumble up there.
Yeah, she actually, we found it, fortunately, we had one of our volunteers is a former EMT. She actually passed out from a urinary tract infection. She was on blood thinners and she fell onto the rocks. And I know that he wrote up a report, former policeman EMT, his report was really good. And I know that got sent to Michelle, so you guys have it in
Yeah.
case something happened. I don't think there'll be any soup, but she nicked an artery, so it was bleeding like crazy. Thank God Tom was there and knew how to take care of it. So until the ambulance got there, so, yeah.
But as you know, things move slow.
Right. Well, yeah, there's just been discussion about, is the fence going in and that's why I was just curious if it went out to bid. Okay. Pam's not here. We have Lori on here twice. I don't know why we do that. Okay, we started to talk about the agenda for the joint meeting. So Dave, are you going to take a lead on putting some charts together for that?
Yep.
Okay, great. And I'll work with Stacy to try to get her down to like a chart, maybe 2. And then hopefully we'll see what comes in from these guys in time to put that together. I got a question from the Painter Center. They're trying to get a grant for a new bus. And they asked that we write a letter of support since we sponsored the grocery ban last year. Can I have the approval to write that letter of support? Do I need a motion for that?
I'll move if you need it.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All
Okay.
approved.
All right, I will write that letter and take care of it.
Can I have a motion that we can present this budget, or does anybody want to make other changes to it? That this budget is good to present to their clients?
I think with what you just described, I would just email it out for people, the whole board to take a look. There's only, I think no, because I sent it out, so you'll make some updates to it. And
Yeah, I'd send you the updates, maybe adding the 10 grand.
Okay.
But I would include the expectation to take on that grant and then possible future grants, keep that door wide open.
And Dave's gonna write that up. too,
Yeah, I'm gonna
so-
put together.
Well, I think the
Good.
small
We
project
stand
funding
ready.
grant, I think that's a great thing that we really want to focus on when we talk to the village and
I
town
agree.
too, so they see that too.
That's huge.
there was a request from the village There was a meeting, their town or their village meeting was last night or Tuesday night. There was quite a big discussion about the train station being ripped down at the old Anchor Marina. And so they were saying it would be nice if there was a public forum with the new marina owners and anybody from the town who wanted to hear about their plans for the business. And Jerry thought that would be an LDC thing. I said I would ask.
Did we host the public forum?
Yeah, we host the public forum.
I find that odd.
I do too.
I thought it was
don't
odd.
understand.
Yeah.
So we take the meeting? 'Cause
Yeah, that was
they're-
great.
everybody's
Well, no, I mean, it's
Jerry
basic.
said we should-
Yeah.
Exactly. I said I would ask the board.
Shouldn't somebody who was questioning what someone does on their own private property just go and talk to that person and say?
Well,
"What
I
are your
guess it
plans?"
was, I don't know. I guess there were people at the meeting. I was not there. So I got a note from Pam that asked about, that Jerry asked that the LDC would host a public forum for a business owner to talk to the people
How would
about.
a business owner feel about that?
But does a business owner want to do that?
I
Yeah,
don't,
I
I just thought it was out of
It's like,
scope, but I didn't
no.
want to just voice that. I think it's
No.
out
If
of
I was a
scope.
business owner, and you came to me and said that, I would be like,
It's
no.
none of your business.
If I, right, and if I want to do that, I'll
If
do
I
it,
want to
but-
have an open house, I'll have it at my business, I'll invite
Right.
everybody, in,
Yeah.
I'll show what.
But
So-
no,
All right,
I
so
think
can I say the board discussed it and we think it would be better if the
If the
business owners had
hosted
an
it.
open
I think
house?
we should just say no.
I just say no, do not make a recommendation. It's not our business.
And honestly, we had a meeting with Jake and his wife before they even closed. And according to him, in the deed, Ron had it written where it could not be donated to the town or the village. Because he was willing to jack it up and take it out of there. But he's like, what am I gonna do with it?
Right.
So,
Not our issue,
right.
not our issue.
Okay, all right. And then the last thing that I have is, it was getting passed around. We ended up sending $170 for Jerry's sister to the SPCA. And we got a nice card and I don't know where that ended up, but I asked
Oh, it
her.
didn't go anywhere.
There you go.
Yeah, pass it that way.
So just, yeah, so you guys can see it. Thank you. If you owe me money, give me money. If you don't have it, don't worry about it.
Because I'd have never remembered it.
Yeah, well, no, it was funny because I was like, what did I do with that list where I wrote down the money? And it was like, I gave Carol her envelope because I always put like one envelope with all the stuff I get for mail for Carol and she goes, this was in there. And I said, I did recycle it. That's where it was. Thank you. All right, I don't have anything else. Privilege from the floor.
I have one quick thing. Stacy started to get her reimbursements and they're moving forward. So
Awesome.
They are, if you drive by, there's much activity.
yes, so she's very excited.
Yes.
A
that's-
little, sleeping a little bit, a little relieved.
Oh, yeah, it took forever. That's like Dan said, it takes so long.
But, so how did we help with that? We used our grant writer to help her get the grant.
He reviewed it. That
He
was all
He
that
reviewed
he
reviewed
did.
it, she wrote it. he
She wrote
reviewed so we didn't
Well,
do
and
much.
we had the data,
Take some
right?
credit.
Data.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, we need to take some credit.
I mean,
We had the data.
Yeah,
We had data.
we did this, we did this.
We
Manny ran that
coordinated.
survey.
You spent a lot of time. We coordinated that daycare, whole situation, now it's happening and they're getting money.
Well, that's basically, you did.
And like there'll be jobs because she can't be a one person show. So
Right.
there'll
So
be job
there-
revenue and everything. So, yeah.
Maybe Amanda, you could write up a little blurb that Dave could include in the slides.
Sure.
We gotta, we're hearing you.
Mhm.
Because we don't sit in those meetings. And
I'm all
so.
about marketing.
Yeah, cool. All right, if I can have somebody to make a motion, we could close this meeting.
Yay.
I'll second.
All right, we got Dan, everybody wants to go home. Bye.
7:06.